Hello, guys. Welcome back to Regarding. Glad to have you. So, what's to follow is a conversation between me and my friend Lee again. It's part one of three. Check it out. Hope you enjoy.
Self-worth, self-image, negative self-talk, um, and how that influences lives of young adults or adults or
Are we young adults?
well, we're young adults.
Definitely not. Young adults are like 20 something. We're
No,
in
old adults is 70 odd. We're like,
We're in the middle of our lives, dude. We're middle aged.
so
Sorry.
mid adults. Fine.
Okay. Okay.
We're not old adults yet. Lee, tell me, what is your we're addicts. What would you say is the thing that got you to that point where you needed to escape from? In and not in the, from the physical, from there's something in so for me it was definitely, and I've shared about this numerous times, I couldn't stand myself. I couldn't stand how I looked, how I felt about myself, how I even to some extent my behavior. But I was too young at the time to put two and two together and get to the point that if I change my behavior and if I change that, you know, because I grew up in small town, well, relatively small town South Africa, and in the 80s and early 90s, it was frowned upon to embrace certain things as a son, as a boy. Um, so a lot of my creativity and stuff got pushed down and never embraced it. Whether it was there or not, I don't know, but I'm guessing it must have always been there because it's definitely there now. And I got ridiculed in school. There was bullies, there was teasing, as I'm sure there is now these days. And these days it's even worse with all the online
The cyber stuff.
other stuff that luckily we didn't have, but we had a more physical
Yes,
aspect.
definitely less evidence.
Got beat up and physically ridiculed and screamed at, and um, so for me it was definitely a belief that I am less than. Now, I can't tell you exactly when that started, but I can go back as far as the age of 16, which is pretty much when I started to drink with my friends before school and after school. And at that stage already, because I was a fat child, a heavy-set child, big-boned child, um, I was ridiculed on a regular basis within my group of friends, not even like just random people or people that wasn't my friends, but within my group of friends, it was considered acceptable
Yeah.
to make fun of me. And I'm ashamed to admit it that I took part of making fun of other children about their shortcomings. Even though I often refer to myself as the mascot of the group because I was in the group of some of the cool kids, but even though I wasn't a cool kid. Um, but it was very much group pressure, peer pressure. And as a result of that, I started behaving in a sense that I felt I needed to do certain things to be able to be friends with certain people. So I bent over backwards to people please, prove myself, and I did stupid things to do so because as a young mind, you don't know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable to a big degree. Parents were working, and it's not their fault. It's the era it was. They did, my parents did their absolute best, but regardless of that, a big chunk of my childhood, I was left to my own devices, and we were out in the fields and doing whatever the hell we liked. So that's how my mind was formed. And then in early adulthood, just after school, when I went overseas and I went to work in the UK, I discovered drugs. And that took away all this hate for myself, because all of a sudden I fit in. I had some drugs and I fit into the party, and the girls were talking to me, and people were, I was part of this group without feeling not part of it. I didn't have to fake it. Meanwhile, at that point, you don't think about the chemical side of faking it, but I suppose when you,
Yeah, it's totally natural.
and that's how it happened. I mean, then it goes on for that for a while, but I think the first thing I remember when I came clean, I was in active addiction 22 years, and when I came clean, the first thing that I started working on, which made the biggest impact, was to curb negative self-talk. Because at that stage, I was so hard on myself. If I forgot the keys in the house and I was in my car and I had to drive around the block to come back to the house to come and get the keys for the storeroom or something, I would go into a flat spin and start swearing at myself out loud, screaming at myself out loud in a room. That I once explained it to my addiction counselor, and I said, so I'm screaming at myself, and then there's a little voice going off in my head that goes, dude, you are overreacting. And then I go, no, I'm not. And I just soldier through and I just keep on screaming, because in for a penny, in for a pound.
So I'm just going to interrupt. And be very hard on myself for the smallest things, but I assumed that it was because I thought that I took that voice from literally directly from my father, because he would tell you what a fucking idiot I was, in those words. You're a fucking idiot. How can you not know where your keys are? Like if I remember from the other day, I had some memory, Stepwork does that, and had some memory of, I forgot to give him a phone message. I was a teenager and sitting on the phone chatting to my friend, and I forgot to give him a message, and he said, like, the next time you do it, I'll break your fucking ear. So I just assumed that I became like that towards myself because it was natural. That was how I was spoken to. So I thought right up until this conversation that my internal voice became the voice that was from outside, and it became my internal voice. And I've had to fight very hard against that voice. And it's unfortunately, like, if I think back, I was married and I'm divorced, and how different I am now because I had that negative self-talk, and I was so hard on myself, and I was so hard on him, and I was so hard on everyone around me. I have a fridge magnet that says, "Don't be so hard on yourself," but I didn't have a way of not knowing. I didn't have a way of knowing any better. It created obsessive compulsive behaviors, not to the point of a disorder. I can still function, and a lot of it I've come away from with therapy. Behaviors like door checking and tap checking and doing everything 4 times. As a little kid, I'd have to do everything 4 times, and I always think, how the fuck my parents? I don't know. I don't know. And if you ask me today what my favorite number is, it's 4. I have no idea why. I have no idea why I was doing everything 4 times. And like, if my kids were doing something 4 times, I'd fucking notice, know? But I don't know, maybe the 80s. I don't remember. And I think my first drug of choice, I'd have to say, was denial. Like, and just completely shutting down and shutting off, because I didn't fit in at school, because I knew that when I got dropped off at this lovely day school, no one had heard the shit that I'd heard either the night before or that morning, seen and heard the horrific things that were going on in my home. And I knew to keep it a secret. I don't know how I knew. I have no memory. I don't have a lot of memories from that time, which is a real fuck up because it affects my life daily. And I don't know why it affects me. And so it'd be great to get those memories back, but I don't know if that's a thing. And I don't know if that's a my sponsor said that they will come when you're ready to remember them. So the negative self-talk, how it impacts, so however hard I am on other people around me, much harder on I was much harder on myself. But yeah, like the level of expectation of people to behave and to be perfect.
Let's go to decision making.
Well, that's that for today. I hope you come back next week and check out the rest. It's good. Thanks.